Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Life Wisdom, where we're all about being your steady pal through these golden years. Picture us sitting together over a hot cup of coffee, swapping stories about the real stuff that comes with life after 70. Today we're diving headfirst into something that hits close to home. Top 10 warning signs to watch after 70. Scientifically proven health secrets for the elderly. You've probably felt it, that huff and puff after grabbing the mail, or that moment of now where did those darn keys wander off to? Life past 70 loves tossing these little surprises our way, and truth be told, more than half of us just wave them off like old news. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of those everyday quirks aren't just quirks, they're bold red flags, backed by hard science from people who've spent years figuring this out. So, we're laying out 10 of these warning signs today, not to spook you, but to hand you the reins to your health. These aren't fluffy promises, they're straight-up, practical health secrets that could stack more good mornings in your deck. Bet you'll spot a couple that ring a bell. Hang tight with us to the end. There's some pure gold waiting, the kind that might tweak how you take on the day. If Life Wisdom feels like your kind of crew, give that subscribe button a tap and join the gang. We're tougher than the toughest days, and we've got your back. Let's get rolling. All right, friends, let's ease into sign 1. Lingering fatigue that won't quit. A few winters back, I hit a rough spot, one of those bleak stretches where rolling out of bed felt like hauling an old creaky cart through a muddy field. I'd drag myself to the kitchen, fire up the coffee pot, and even after a strong cup, I'd still feel like my battery was stuck on empty. No bounce, no drive, just a thick, stubborn fog that wouldn't lift. Ever had that kind of tired follow you around, the type that settles in deep and overstays its welcome? Turns out it's not just me. Harvard's been poking around, and they found 1 in 4 of us over 70 deal with this slow, creeping drain. And it's not always because we're short on shut-eye. Could be your heart tapping you on the shoulder, hinting it's straining more than it should, maybe from early heart failure sneaking up. Or your blood might be missing some iron. Anemia's a sly little pickpocket that snags your energy and leaves you flat. Sometimes it's even your headspace playing tricks. Depression can slip in quiet, wrapping you in a blanket of exhaustion without saying a peep. The folks at the National Institute on Aging dug into this too. They say chronic fatigue after 70 often ties to stuff we can tackle, like spotty eating habits or a thyroid that's gone lazy, not just the calendar ticking on. Here's the upside. We don't have to just slog through it. We've got more grit than a long gray day, and there's a way to push back. Start easy. Keep water close and sip it steady. Dehydration's a silent sapper, and Mayo Clinic reckons over 60% of us aren't drinking enough to keep the motor running. Next time you're with your doc, ask them to take a quick look at your iron with a blood test, or listen to your heart for any odd rhythms. If you're feeling that weight right now, take a slow stretch, roll those shoulders, shake off the haze. This is about getting a leg up on those brighter mornings, grounded in what's real, not just wishful thinking. Okay, friends, let's dig into sign 2, shortness of breath out of nowhere. Next time you're out snagging the mail or tackling those 3 little steps to the porch and suddenly you're huffing like you just sprinted around the neighborhood, don't just shrug it off as another day over 70. Pause for a beat, feel that tightness, grab your chest, and ask yourself, when did this sneak up on me? I had one of those wake-up calls last spring, just ambling out to the mailbox. Nothing fancy, just my usual shuffle, when bam, my lungs threw in the towel. I stood there, puffing like an old steam engine chugging up a hill, wondering if I'd accidentally signed up for a race. Ever found yourself there, catching your breath when you least expect it? Maybe it's after hauling a bag of groceries, or even just bending down to tie a shoe. It creeps in fast. Turns out, this isn't some rare fluke. The Mayo Clinic's been keeping tabs, and they say over 1 in 3 of us past 70 run into this at some point. Not just because we're out of practice either. It could be your lungs raising a ruckus, maybe tangled in something like COPD, that slow, sneaky hitch that stiffens your airways bit by bit until breathing feels like blowing through a straw. Or your heart might be playing coy, struggling to shuttle oxygen where it's needed, especially if early heart failure's tiptoeing around. Allergies, too. Think pollen or that dusty corner you've been meaning to sweep can clamp down on your windpipe out of the blue. Even stress can jump in, tightening your chest like a rusty hinge. Cleveland Clinic chimes in with a wild tidbit. Nearly 20% of sudden breathlessness cases tie back to fixable stuff like low oxygen flow, not some big, scary mystery. Here's where we draw the line. We're not letting this slip by. We've got the guts to stare it down. Try this tonight. When that huff hits, sit tight, breathe in slow for 4 counts, then let it glide out for 6. Feel it anchor you. Better yet, grab a friend tomorrow and time how long you can walk before it kicks in. Call it your little detective game. If it's hanging around or popping up like an uninvited guest, nudge your doc to scope out your lungs or give your heart a listen. A quick peek can crack the case wide open. Take a deep breath with me right now. In through the nose, out slow and easy. Let it steady your sails. This isn't about giving up the ghost. It's about keeping the breeze at our backs for all the days ahead. So, we've talked about catching our breath, but here's something else that's been popping up lately. Sign 3. Dropping pounds without trying. A few months back, I noticed my old reliable jeans weren't hugging my hips like they used to. No crash diets, no marathon walks. Just me pottering around as usual. I tried blaming the dryer for shrinking them wrong, but the scales spilled the truth. A few pounds had tiptoed off without so much as a wave. Ever found your belt sneaking an extra notch lately? No effort on your part? We see it around us too. A neighbor scratching their head over a looser coat, or a pal laughing that their Sunday best now looks like it belongs to someone bigger. It's not always the kind of surprise you brag about over coffee. The National Institute on Aging's been keeping an eye on this, and they reckon unexpected weight loss after 70 can be your body nudging you. Sometimes it's a signal worth heeding. Maybe your gut's not pulling its weight anymore, struggling to grab nutrients, possibly from something like celiac disease lurking unnoticed. Or it could be a harder punch. Cancer's a crafty thief that siphons off pounds before you catch its shadow. Even a thyroid running wild, burning too hot, can melt your reserves like butter on a skillet. They've clocked it. Over 1 in 5 of us over 70 trip over this at some point, and it's not just about cutting back on sweets. Here's where we dig in. We're not letting this slide by unnoticed. We've got the metal to face it square. Start with a small step. Toss a handful of almonds or a swipe of peanut butter into your day. It's a trusty anchor to keep the scale from drifting. Next time you're with your doc, mention those baggy pants. A quick word might kick off a blood test or a check on your digestion to spot the troublemaker. If it's on your mind today, grab a little bite right now. Something simple, keep the fuel steady. This is about holding our own, not letting those pounds slip away without a tussle. Now that we've puzzled over those vanishing pounds, let's turn the page to something that can really grab your attention. Sign 4. Chest pain that nags. Picture old Dr. Jones, the weathered doc with a mane of gray hair and a voice like gravel after a long day. He'd lean over his cluttered desk, peering over his glasses, and say, "Folks, if you're feeling a squeeze, a burn, or a plain old ache right here." He'd thump his chest with a gnarled finger. "Don't you go blaming it on that extra slice of meatloaf from supper." I ran into this myself not too long ago. It was a chilly afternoon, and I was lugging a couple of grocery bags from the car. Nothing heavy, just the usual milk and bread, when this dull, pesky thud planted itself under my ribs. It wasn't a stab, more like a grumpy neighbor knocking at the wall, coming and going over the next hour while I puttered around the kitchen. Ever had that kind of uninvited guest in your chest, sticking around longer than you'd like? Dr. Jones would give that knowing nod. He's heard it from plenty of us. The Cleveland Clinic's got his back with some sobering stats. About 30% of folks over 70 tangle with chest pain at some point. And it's not just our bones creaking with age. It might be your heart ringing the bell, maybe an artery getting tight-fisted with blood. Think angina, where the flow's pinched, or worse, a slow march toward a heart attack if it's ignored too long. Could be your lungs throwing a tantrum too. A blood clot sneaking in there, called a pulmonary embolism, can press on your chest like a heavy boot. Even that sly spine of ours can toss in a curveball, pinching a nerve and bouncing the ache right to the front. Dr. Jones would lean in closer. Don't sleep on stress either. It can tie your chest in knots tighter than a sailor's rope. WebMD adds a twist. About 1 in 10 cases might just be acid reflux playing a mean trick, sending a burn up from your stomach. Here's where we take charge. We're not letting this nag slip by. We've got the nerve to tackle it straight. If it strikes, sit down, take a breather, and time it. Over 5 minutes or spiking with a cold sweat, don't wait. Call for help. Next doc visit, lay it out. That ache, when it hits, how it feels. They might roll out an EKG, snap a chest x-ray, or put you through a stress test to sniff out the trouble. Feeling a twinge now? Sip some warm water, prop your feet up for a minute, and let it ease. No rush, just steady. This isn't about folding, it's about keeping our heart in the ring, ready for the rounds ahead. Since we've been sizing up that nagging chest pain, let's shift our focus to a quieter troublemaker that can catch you off guard. Sign 5. Numbness or weakness. Sneaking in. Last Thanksgiving I saw it unfold right at the family table with my cousin Ellie. She was bustling around, setting out plates and forks, chattering about how she'd wrestled the turkey into the oven when her hand just gave up. The fork slipped clean out of her grip, clanging onto the hardwood floor like it'd staged a breakout. She chuckled, waved it off as her fingers taking a coffee break. But later, as we were clearing the pumpkin pie crumbs, she pulled me aside. "It's weird," she whispered. My whole arm felt like it was dozing off, tingling like I'd sat on it funny. Ever had that strange fuzziness sneak into your hands or legs, or a patch of strength just melt away when you weren't looking? We've all noticed it around the family. Uncle Joe sloshing coffee down his shirt when his mug got too heavy, or Aunt May clutching the stair rail like it's her lifeline these days. It's not just a laugh over holiday spills. WebMD cuts to the chase. Sudden numbness or weakness, especially lopsided on one side, can be your brain blasting a siren. A stroke might be creeping in, and they say you've got about an hour to act before it carves a deeper mark. But it's not always that dramatic. Could be a pinched nerve in your neck or back, throwing a tantrum, sending tingles down your arm like a prank call. Or maybe a vitamin B12 drought's at play. Without it, your nerves get jittery, like a car running on fumes. Harvard's got a number for us. About 1 in 6 folks over 70 wrestle with nerve glitches at some point, and it's not all age pulling strings. Here's where we dig our heels in. We're not brushing this off as a fluke. We've got the grit to tackle it head on. Right now, try this. Lift both arms up high. If one droops or wavers, don't wait. Get help fast. Next time you're at the docs, spill the details, when it hit, how it felt. A nerve exam or a B12 blood test could nab the culprit. Feeling that buzz today? Wiggle your fingers, shake your legs out for a minute, stir them awake. Toss some eggs or spinach into your next meal too. B12 loves those. This is about keeping our hold on the days worth having, not letting them slip through shaky hands. After wrestling with that sneaky numbness, let's wander into something a little hazier. Sign 6. Memory slips or confusion. Last summer, I had one of those moments that stopped me cold. I was in the grocery store, list in hand, and blanked. Couldn't for the life of me recall if I needed milk or eggs, even though I just checked the fridge that morning. It wasn't a big deal, just a flicker, but it stuck with me, like a fog rolling in over a familiar road. Ever walked into a room and forgotten why, or fumbled a name you've known forever? We see it ripple through our circles, a friend misplacing their glasses for the 3rd time in a day, or a sibling pausing mid-story, groping for a word that's danced out of reach. It's not always just a senior moment to shrug off. Harvard's been peering into this fog, and they say about 25% of us over 70 face memory hiccups that could hint at something bigger. Maybe dementia's shadow creeping closer, or a mini-stroke leaving a quiet mark. Stress can muddy the waters too, scattering your thoughts like leaves in a gust. Even sleep's a player. Too little, and your brain's like a radio with a weak signal. The National Institute on Aging notes low blood flow or a B12 dip can trip up your recall too, not just age playing tricks. Here's where we take a breath. We're not lost in this haze yet. We've got the calm to find our way. Start tonight. Jot a quick note when your mind blips. It's a lifeline to tether those thoughts. Next doc visit, mention those blank spots. A brain scan or blood check might light the path. Feeling scattered now? Let's ease into it. Sit back, breathe in slow for 4 counts, out for 6. Picture a still lake under a soft sky. If your mind wanders, that's fine. Just drift back gentle. Try that for 5 minutes tonight. It's a small reset, not a chore. This is about clearing the mist, keeping our stories sharp for the telling. With those memory slips swirling in our heads, let's pivot to a creakier concern. Sign 7. Joint pain that locks you up. Stand up right now. Go slow. Feel those knees or hips groan like a rusty gate swinging open. I tried that myself this morning, easing out of my chair after a long sit with the paper, and my knees piped up with a crackle loud enough to wake the cat. Ever felt your joints grumble when you move or lock tight like they're staging a sit-in? We hear it all the time. A buddy wincing as he climbs out of the car, or a sister rubbing her hands after a chilly day. It's not just the weather talking. AARP's got the rundown. Over half of us past 70 tangle with arthritis at some point, where cartilage wears thin and bones start rubbing like sandpaper. Could be osteoarthritis, the slow grind of years, or rheumatoid arthritis, where your own body turns traitor and inflames the works. Even old injuries can chime in. That twisted ankle from decades back might be calling in its dues. Mayo Clinic says about 1 in 4 of us over 65 feel this stiffness daily, and it's not just a badge of time. Poor posture or extra weight can crank up the volume. Here's where we push back. We're not surrendering to the creaks. We've got the spunk to loosen things up. Try this now. Roll your shoulders gentle, then bend one knee like you're stepping over a puddle. Feel that stretch, nudge the stiffness out. Tonight, grab a warm towel, drape it over that sore spot for 10 minutes. Let the heat sink in like a soft hug. Next doc visit, bring it up. Those achy joints might earn you a quick x-ray or a chat about anti-inflammatory tricks. Feeling the grind today? Shuffle your feet a bit, keep them moving. Don't let them freeze. This is about oiling the hinges, keeping us limber for the dance ahead. Now that we've loosened up those creaky joints, let's tune in to a shift that's harder to ignore. Sign 8. Vision or hearing fading fast. A few weeks back, I was squinting at the fine print on a soup can, tilting it every which way under the kitchen light, and still couldn't make out if it was chicken noodle or minestrone. Then last night, I cranked the TV up a notch, okay, maybe 3, just to catch the punchline of a rerun. Ever found yourself leaning closer to read the mail, or asking what you say more than you used to? It's creeping up on us. A friend tilting his head to hear the birds out back, or a cousin swapping her glasses for stronger ones twice this year. These aren't just quirks to shrug off with a grin. The National Institute on Aging's been tracking this, and they say about 1 in 3 of us over 70 notice our eyes or ears starting to slip. Not a slow fade, but a fast drop that can throw you off. Could be cataracts clouding your lens, like a foggy windshield, or macular degeneration nibbling away at the center of your sight. Hearing's no picnic either. Age can muffle the high notes, or wax buildup can clog the works like a dam. Even diabetes can sneak in, tugging at the tiny nerves in your eyes and ears. AARP chimes in. Over 40% of us past 65 wrestle with hearing loss alone, and it's not just time turning the dial down. Here's where we take the wheel. We're not letting this dim our days. We've got the pluck to sharpen things up. Try this. Dim those bright screens tonight. They tire your eyes faster than you think. Next doc visit, spill it. That blurry label or muffled chat might kick off a vision test or an ear check to catch what's fading. Feeling off today? Blink slow a few times, or tap your ears gentle. Give them a breather. This is about keeping the world in focus, not letting it blur out of reach. With our eyes and ears starting to play hide and seek, let's drift into a nuisance that's keeping us up. Sign 9. Bathroom trips all night. Here's my imaginary log. Day 1, I tucked in at 10 p.m., cozy under the quilt, only to shuffle to the bathroom at midnight, then 2 a.m. and again at 4, like my bladder set an alarm I didn't sign up for. Day 2, I cut back on tea, but 1 a.m. rolled around, and there I was, trudging down the hall, groggy as a bear waking from a nap. By day 3, I'm wondering, is this my new night shift? Ever caught yourself pacing to the bathroom when you'd rather be dreaming? We've all heard the grumbles, a pal muttering about midnight wanders, or a neighbor joking they've worn a path in the carpet. It's more than a punchline. Mayo Clinic's got the scoop. Frequent nighttime runs could be your bladder waving a flag, maybe an infection stirring the pot, or diabetes is nudging your system to flush more than usual. Could be your prostate, fellas, growing a bit too chatty with age, pressing on the works. Or those legs of ours, pooling fluid all day, decide to unload when we lie flat. They say about 1 in 3 of us over 70 get up twice or more a night, not just a quirk of too much water. Harvard adds a twist. Even meds like blood pressure pills can turn your bladder into a night owl. Here's where we draw a line. We're not doomed to this midnight march. We've got the savvy to tame it. Try this. Ease off drinks by 7 p.m., sip just enough to stay comfy. It's a small tweak with big payoffs. Next doc visit? Spill the log. Those nightly treks might spark a urine test or a sugar check to root out the cause. Feeling the urge today? Stretch those legs a bit now. Keep that fluid moving before bed. This is about reclaiming our sleep, not letting the bathroom call the shots. After those midnight bathroom dashes kept us on our toes, let's step into a shaky spot that's hard to miss. Sign 10. Falling or wobbling too much. Last fall, I took a tumble that still rattles me. I was heading out to the porch, arms full of laundry, when my foot caught the edge of a rug. Next thing I knew, I was sprawled on the boards, socks and shirts flying like confetti. It wasn't a big drop, but my knees wobbled like jelly for the rest of the day, and I kept replaying that heart-stopping lurch. Ever felt your balance betray you, or your legs turn to noodles when you least expect it? We see it more than we'd like, a friend steadying himself on a chair after a quick turn, or a loved one taking the stairs one cautious grip at a time. It's not just a slip to dust off. The World Health Organization's got the tally. About 1 in 5 of us over 70 take a serious fall each year. And it's not all clumsy feet. Those spills can crack hips or heads if we're not careful. Could be your muscles losing their old snap, or a dizzy spell from blood pressure dipping when you stand. Even those ears of ours, fading as we talked about, can throw off your inner compass. Mayo Clinic says weak legs or meds like sleep aids can tip the scales too. Over 30% of falls tie back to shaky strength or a foggy head. Here's where we stand tall. We're not bowing to this wobble. We've got the grit to steady up. Try this. Grip a rail or table and walk 10 steps today. Build that habit to keep your legs solid. Next doc visit, spill it. That stumble or sway might spark a balance check or a med tweak. Feeling unsteady now? Shuffle slow, hold the wall for a beat, keep your footing firm. This is about planting our boots, not letting a fall steal the march. Well, friends, we've walked through quite a trail. From that dragging fatigue to those shaky stumbles, we've unpacked 10 warning signs that can whisper or shout for our attention after 70. It's a lineup worth knowing. The tiredness that won't quit, breath that vanishes, pounds slipping away, chest aches that nag, numbness creeping in, memory fogging up, joints locking tight, eyes and ears fading, bathroom marathons at night, and falls that jolt us awake. I've felt a few of these myself. Those moments that nudge you to pause and listen. They're not here to scare us off the path, they're signals we can catch straight from the lives we're living to steer toward better days. You're tougher than the toughest of these, and picking just one to watch could light up more mornings with a steady step or a clearer head. Here at Life Wisdom, we're right beside you, rooting for those brighter tomorrows. So what's sticking with you today? Which sign caught your eye? Maybe that wobbly knee or a forgotten tea? Drop it down below. We'd love to hear what's on your mind. If this journey's been a handy pal, give us a thumbs up or hit subscribe. We're in this together, swapping stories and tips for the road. Here's to stronger days, sharper senses, and plenty of restful nights ahead. You've got this, and we'll see you next time with more to share.